You wake up on a Tuesday. Nothing feels different. Your room is the same. The paint on the walls is peeling in the same places. The fan still makes that clicking sound. Outside, traffic moves through the city exactly as it did yesterday. Then your phone starts vibrating. Once, twice, 10 times, 20. By the time you sit up, there are over 100 notifications waiting for you. At first, you assume something terrible happened. A family emergency, a hacked account. Someone died. Instead, you discover something impossible. Overnight, through a chain of corporate acquisitions, inherited equity positions, and a legal settlement that financial analysts will spend years trying to understand, your verified net worth has crossed $1 trillion. 1 trillion. 1,000 billion. A number so large, your brain refuses to process it. You stare at the screen. You put the phone down. You pick it back up. The number hasn't changed. You are 19 years old, and you are now the richest person in human history. Not one of the richest, the richest, by a lot. For the next hour, you do what any normal person would do. You make coffee. You brush your teeth. You look out the window. The world appears completely unchanged, which is strange, because your life has just become something humanity has never seen before. The first people to panic are not governments, not journalists, not investors. The first people to panic are the banks. By lunchtime, multiple financial institutions have frozen portions of your accounts. Not because they think you've done anything wrong, because systems designed to monitor unusual financial activity were never built for someone becoming a trillionaire overnight. Internal alerts spread through departments. Departments notify executives. Executives call emergency meetings. Some of the largest financial organizations on Earth are now discussing you. A teenager who woke up in an ordinary bedroom a few hours ago. By the second day, lawyers arrive. Not one lawyer, not 5. Dozens. Entire conference rooms fill with people explaining risks you didn't know existed. Kidnapping risks, extortion risks, market manipulation risks, political risks, national security risks. One advisor quietly explains that your financial decisions could potentially influence currency markets. You laugh. Nobody else in the room does. That's when you realize they aren't joking. The first week is completely disorienting. You can't access most of it. Trillions of dollars don't sit in a checking account. They exist as ownership stakes, valuations, and assets spread across dozens of entities that are still being legally untangled. What you do have immediate access to is roughly 40 million in liquid cash, which sounds enormous until someone explains that it's less than a rounding error on your actual balance sheet. By the end of the week, private security follows you everywhere. Your home address has leaked online. People you haven't spoken to in years suddenly remember your phone number. Friends become awkward. Strangers become interested. Everyone wants something. Some want money. Some want attention. Some simply want to stand close enough to say they met you. For the first time, you understand something nobody tells you about wealth. Money doesn't just buy things. It changes how other people see you. And eventually, it changes how you see yourself. 2 weeks in, the government gets involved. Not in an adversarial way at first. More like a quiet, official knock on the door. Representatives from Treasury departments, regulatory bodies, and financial oversight committees begin requesting meetings. A fortune this size has systemic implications. Your wealth, if moved incorrectly, could destabilize currency markets, distort asset valuations, and trigger regulatory crises in multiple countries simultaneously. You attend one of the first briefings. A senior economist points to a graph projected on a wall and says something that stays with you for years. You are no longer just a citizen. He pauses. You are now an economic force. Everyone nods. Nobody laughs. And for the first time, you begin to understand the true scale of what has happened. $1 trillion isn't wealth. It's influence. And influence behaves differently. A month in, you move. Not because you want a bigger house, but because your address has been published in more places than anyone can count. The new property is selected by your security team, not by you. There are people whose entire job is now to manage the logistics of your daily existence. Where you go, when you go, who you meet, what routes you take. You didn't hire them as staff. They were recommended as necessary infrastructure. The house is large and quiet. And somehow, despite having everything, it feels emptier than the apartment you left behind. 6 weeks in, you try to do something normal.
You go to a restaurant. It takes 3 days to arrange. The restaurant is closed to other customers for the evening. Your security team is positioned at 4 points inside and 2 outside. You sit at a table in an empty room and try to remember what it felt like to just walk somewhere and sit down. The meal is excellent. The evening is quiet. And something about it makes you sadder than you expected. 2 months in, your financial team presents you with a full picture of your holdings for the first time. The document is over 300 pages. You own significant equity stakes in several of the largest companies in the world. You own real estate across 14 countries. There is a private island that nobody mentioned until page 212. You own percentages of infrastructure that entire governments depend on. Ports, energy facilities, logistics networks. One advisor explains that divesting any of it quickly would cause more harm than holding it. You are 19 years old, and whether you intended to be or not, you have become part of the backbone of the global economy. 3 months in, something shifts in the relationships around you. People you've known your whole life start behaving carefully. They choose their words. They don't ask for things directly, but you can feel the weight of unspoken requests in ordinary conversations. A few friends disappear quietly, not because they hate you, because the distance between your circumstances and theirs has become too wide to cross naturally. One person you were genuinely close to sends you a long message explaining that they don't want to become someone who treats you differently, and that they're afraid they already have. You read it several times. You never find the right response. 6 months in, you decide to do something meaningful. You announce a commitment of $8 billion toward ending global hunger. The public loves it. Headlines celebrate it. People call it historic. Then reality arrives. You discover that hunger isn't caused by a lack of food. It's caused by logistics, politics, corruption, conflict, infrastructure. You can buy grain. You can buy trucks. You can build warehouses. But you can't purchase stability. For the first time, you encounter a problem money alone cannot solve. And it won't be the last. A year in, your investments generate tens of billions without effort. Enough to build cities. Enough to fund governments. Enough to reshape industries. Proposals arrive constantly. Build floating cities. Colonize Mars. Develop new energy systems. Fund artificial intelligence research. Every idea sounds world-changing, because many of them are. Then one day, a proposal lands on your desk. A team of researchers believes they can accelerate artificial intelligence development by nearly a decade. The cost is $60 billion. For you, that's affordable. The question isn't whether you can fund it. The question is whether you should. Governments debate decisions like these for years. Nations vote. Parliaments argue. Committees spend months reviewing consequences. Yet somehow, Because of a number attached to your name, a decision that could affect billions of people has ended up on your desk. Nobody elected you. Nobody appointed you. And yet you have more influence over the future than most world leaders. For the first time, the weight of the money feels secondary. The weight of the responsibility doesn't. Then a question appears in your mind. A question nobody around you seems interested in asking. Should one person have this much power? Not can they. Should they? Because every project you approve changes lives. Every project you reject changes lives too. Millions of people are affected by choices you make over breakfast. And somehow, wealth has transformed into power. Year 2. You attempt something ambitious. You decide to build a city from scratch. A city designed around renewable energy, automation, education, and public transportation. The best architects on Earth join the project. Engineers arrive. Urban planners arrive. Governments negotiate. Construction begins. The world watches. Then everything becomes complicated. Local communities object. Environmental concerns emerge. Political groups disagree. Experts argue endlessly. The lesson becomes clear. Building the future is much harder than imagining it, especially when millions of people have different ideas about what the future should look like. Year 3. You notice something unsettling. People rarely disagree with you anymore. Not openly. Not honestly. You test it. You deliberately say things that are obviously incorrect during meetings. Some people correct you. Most don't. Instead, they reinterpret your mistakes. They adjust reality around your opinion. And suddenly you understand another hidden cost of extreme wealth. The richer you become, the harder it becomes to know when you're wrong. Power filters information. People stop telling you the truth, not because they're evil, because they're afraid. Year 4. You visit your parents. The security team arrives first. Vehicles are positioned nearby. Procedures are followed. But when you step out of the car, none of that is what you notice. You notice the mailbox, the driveway, the tree in the front yard. Everything looks exactly the same. For a moment, it feels like stepping into a photograph, a version of your life that still exists, just without you in it. You stand there longer than you meant to, because suddenly you realize something. The greatest distance you've traveled over the last 4 years wasn't between countries. It wasn't across oceans. It wasn't through boardrooms, governments, or financial institutions. It was the distance between who you were and who you became. You own more assets than some nations. Your organizations employ hundreds of thousands. Your foundations operate across continents. Your influence touches nearly every major industry. From the outside, it looks like success. But privately, a different question has begun to dominate your thoughts. Who are you? Not the trillionaire. Not the public figure. Not the economic force. You. The person. The 19-year-old who woke up on a Tuesday morning years ago. Because somewhere along the way, that version of you disappeared. Not all at once. Slowly. Piece by piece. Buried beneath legal structures, security briefings, board meetings, public expectations, and the accumulated weight of decisions that affect millions of people. Until one evening, you realize something that nobody ever mentioned on the morning your fortune appeared. The greatest cost of becoming the richest person in history wasn't losing privacy. It wasn't the pressure. It wasn't the responsibility. It was losing the chance to discover who you would have been without any of it. Because wealth can buy almost everything. Homes, companies,
islands, influence, power, time. But there is one thing even $1 trillion can never purchase: the life that never happened. And on some quiet nights, when the meetings are over, the headlines have moved on, and the world finally falls silent, that becomes the most expensive thing you don't own.